Joining us now is Victor Davis Hanson, senior fellow at Hoover, and Stephen Miller, former senior advisor to President Trump, founder of America First Legal. Stephen, so the unelected bureaucrats in Brussels apparently want to dictate how governments are elected, how the people, I guess, vote and choose, and how they're run. And this is the pro-democracy crowd, correct?
They're the self-styled pro-democracy crowd, but in truth, they hate and loathe democracy. That's the reason why they are so outraged that a patriotic, pro-family prime minister has won in Italy, and that's the reason why the unelected deep state and the unelected prosecutors and DOJ investigators has spent 6 years going after President Trump. Because what they hate the most is when voters are in charge of their own destiny. They believe, the elites, whether you're talking about the media, our financial system, in our law enforcement system, ensconced in DOJ, whether you're talking about the EU and Brussels, they believe that they know better than the everyday, ordinary working people who believe in borders, families, and God.
Well, I think when you look back, Victor, at the declarations of the death of populism, I mean, you and I, Victor, were talking about this on the radio years ago. This is how long they've been predicting the demise of populism. I think we have to remind people about what the smart set were saying. Watch.
If the Republican Party wants to continue to be a major party, and they need to reject the white nationalism, the populism.
How in the world do you win elections moving ahead if you're trying to push people out for rejecting populism? I thought that's what political parties do.
Jeff Flake, I'd forgotten about him, Victor, but looks like populism is going to stick around as long as they keep screwing it up on the establishment side.
Or more germanely, they brought about maybe the most radical shift in minority voting in recent history, especially in the case of Mexican Americans are going to vote conservative in a way they never have before. You know, everything, we forget it was very calm, and by 2019, we didn't have these problems. These are deliberate. They threw stones into a calm pond, Laura. They're not going to float back up by magic before the midterms. The ripples are still going out. We don't have a border. It's not existent. And what we saw in Philadelphia is going to continue because there's no police deterrence anymore. And we can say the same thing about energy. The prices of gas are not going down. I just paid $7 a gallon for diesel fuel yesterday in California here. And when you look abroad, and once we lost deterrence in Afghanistan, it's very hard to reclaim. And that empowered Russia. It's going to empower China and Iran. So these consequences were ideological. They weren't due to a war or a plague. He did it deliberately. And what's ironic is we were waiting for the Republicans to grasp that. And now they're nationalizing this election, thank God. 468 some seats. They're going to ask these candidates, you voted for the border, you voted for the crime, you voted for the energy, you voted for the inflation, you voted for the recession. Are you still for that or not? I want to know, yes or no. And they're not going to play by the Marquis of Queensberry rules. They're going to run tough ads. And they broke up this psychodramatic media narrative of January 6th, then the Trump raid, then January 6th, then the Phantom of the Opera fascist Biden speech. Suddenly DeSantis said, no, we're going to direct attention to a real issue, immigration. And it was brilliant what he did at Martha's Vineyard, and that's disrupted them. And now we're looking at the issues again, and that's a lose-lose situation for these ideologues, and they won't change. You and I have talked about that. They won't adapt to reality. They're the ideologues, and they're rigid, and they're fossilized, and their time has come and gone.
Stephen, we noted in the Angle about the media's obsession with comparing Giorgia Meloni's victory to the rise of Mussolini. And the AP writes, how a party of neo-fascist roots won big in Italy. And the Atlantic wrote, the return of fascism in Italy. Stephen, if anyone is approaching fascist, it is the left today that wants to shut down all debate, shut down all thoughtful thinking about these very difficult problems. Yet they did the same thing to Trump, did they not? I mean, they called him an autocrat, and he was a mini dictator, and he was going to start World War III. The same playbook against Trump they're using against these new populist leaders in Europe.
Yes, I mean, it's the only playbook they have, which is to demonize their opponents as fascists and bigots and racists. And both the American people and our friends across Europe aren't buying the lies and smears anymore. Look, as you said, who's really fascist here? It was Biden's DOJ that sent a SWAT team that sent 30 armed federal agents to a pro-life pastor's house. While real criminals, violent thugs, gang members are on the streets shooting people, beating them, assaulting them, undisturbed, unmolested. No one's even touching them. This administration is the administration that is trampling on our basic rights and freedoms, whether you're talking about Maloney or Donald Trump or every single House member running under the Republican banner this year. They're going to label all of them as fascist. And you know what? The more they lie, the more the American people are going to rise up and say no.
Yeah, I think, as Victor pointed out, I don't think it's working anymore. I think reality is crashing in on their little party. Victor and Stephen, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.